Alright, what's going on, guys? Shots with Jay here. You know what time it is, another review. So basically this one is going to be on the Beretta APX A1 Compact. I recently did a review on this versus the Shield Plus, kind of an unorthodox comparison, but it's just kind of showing what you're going to get with a micro compact compared to a compact, right? Well, this one is going to be against two compacts against each other. The APX, and again, this one, I mean, this is, definitely one of the heavy hitters up here. I think it can bang with the rest of them, the Smith & Wessons, the Glocks, the HKs, and so forth. So for that reason, we're just, and it was in the military trials. We got to include it, guys. We have to include it up there with those guys. So the Beretta APX A1 Compact, this one is going to be against the Glock 19 in this review. Here's the thing, okay? So do I have the actual Glock 19? No, but I have the Glock 44 right here, and it has the exact same dimensions as the Glock 19. So regardless, you're going to be getting exactly what would be the Glock 19, dimensions when we're comparing the size, the width, the everything. Matter of fact, this is a Glock 19 magazine. You can see right there, 15 rounds for 9mm, even though this is a 22. It will actually see and click in there into the mag well. So it's the exact same everything. Obviously not the same barrel thickness or anything like that, right? But that is what the comparison will be, and it's very accurate. It's the same thing, to be honest. And if you really want to be like that about it being a 9mm, I have this one, which is basically again the same size as a Glock 19. This is the LTD 19 from Lone Wolf. Awesome piece. Love this thing to the moon and back, really. I think it's a really neat piece. All I really need is a light right here. Turn tactical base plate. I mean, it runs. I added just some goon tape right here and some Talon grips just for right here, just a little cutout. I didn't want to add it here. I really like how smooth it feels like this, but I wanted to go ahead and add something here. So it's not really a comparison between the three, but at one point I will go ahead and have this thing just jump in here a little bit, just so we can go ahead and see for those who complain about it not being a 9mm. Now basically this one is going to have a 3.7-inch barrel, and the Glock 19, right, it is a Glock 44, right, but the Glock 19 will have a 4.02-inch barrel. And matter of fact, this is so identical to what a Glock 19 would be. I mean, it literally is. It's just chambered differently. That it also has the same exact barrel length, which is a 4.02-inch barrel, right? So again, we're not going to be comparing the thickness, just because of course it is chambered for 22, but it is accurate with the length, right? So let's go ahead and check these out. And we're going to go ahead and get the most accurate size comparison right here, from the back of the slide to the back of the slide. Boom, right there is perfect. Look at that. That's about as even as I ever see it. And you can see right here at the tip right here, 3.7 on the bottom, 4.02, which is just a hair over 4.0 flat. You can see right there the 0.3 difference, really the 0.302. Right there. You're looking at about 1/3 of an inch. So just for a comparison, right? And now let's go ahead and check out the thickness, because again, it's going to be the exact same thing. I don't know how much more clear to make that. This is basically the Glock 19, just chambered differently. Alright, back of the slide again. Call it even, call it even. Boom, right there is about even. You can see the lines in the bottom. And now let's check out the top. Really, this one is for the slide thickness. You can see how on the left, the Beretta definitely has a greater thickness to it. Look at this, you can just tell it's a thick boy. It is a compact, right? Damn, I mean, that is pretty thick. And you can see this one, you see it's more, I don't know, you can just say maybe it's a little easier to hide the printing. The thing is though, you kind of got to take your pick, right? Because while it is easier, you know, to kind of slim behind the shirt at the same time, this might be a little more comfortable for appendix, even though it's thicker, and that's just because it is shorter, right? So when you're carrying appendix, obviously this is down, so it's less length right there. So you kind of take your pick. Right here you got it a little shorter of a slide, but thicker, or you got a little bit longer, but it is slightly thinner. You can go ahead and take your pick with that. You see the difference right off the bat. Thicker, little thinner. So overall, I think the size is pretty close, but this one is thicker, this one is thinner. Let's go ahead and touch on the tech string, right? Tech string, I don't even have to really point it out there, but I'm going to, right? The tech string, it's gonna be better with the Beretta. And why? Well, first let me go ahead and tell you about the Glock and what I don't like. So the tech string here, again, it's the same thing for the Glock 19. Of course, this is based off the Gen 5, by the way, not the new Gen 6. So for the Gen 5, you're gonna go ahead and see the tech string here. It's kind of identical all the way around, so you don't really have a difference on the side tech string or the front and the back. It's all kind of like these little kind of beads, and the tech string's not bad or anything, but typically, right, whenever you're comparing the tech string from different angles and stuff, the main part of the hand where you grip it, it'll have more tech string on the back and the front, and the side will be a softer thing, you know, for when you're carrying to avoid like belly rub or things like that. But here they didn't do that. They just kind of kept it all the way around, and again, that's how it'll be on any of the Gen 5s, right? So you could see that right there. It's also smooth here, which is typically not a good thing. It could be, but it could also not be. I mean, some people like it smooth, right? But some people want something for their support hand. And you can see right here, there's also 0 tech string for your index points for your support hand. Right here would be like your thumb area, or on this side, there's nothing here for your index point either. And you can see, since this is the 44 technically, not Austrian, it's right here, made in the USA. So it does say that right there. Just to kind of, you know, to point that out there. It does have ambidextrous slide release and the slide stop, so you see it on both sides. So I think that is pretty cool. But again, right, the tech string, I mean, not really much to say. They do have some tech string here, so that's something. So that's what I like. I mean, I like what they have here, but what I don't like is how it's missing literally everywhere else. If I had to say, I mean, I would give it maybe a tech string. I mean, honestly, maybe like a 5, to be honest. I mean, it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. There is worse out there. It'll do the job though, if that's what you're curious about. Will it do the job? Yes, it will, but it won't do it as smooth as you would like. Now this one, I mean, I think the best of the best of the best is probably the MMPs, but this one might be second for tech string. Smith & Wesson is really up there, but for the tech string alone, I'd have to say that this one is probably really up there. And the reason is because, look, they have tech string here. Again, like I said, they have it in the back and the front. It's more aggressive. On the side, it's more smoother. And then they have kind of a smooth texture here. And I really like that, right? Because you don't want it too rough right here, but at the same time, there's something there, so it's not just smooth. They have the texture points right here in the top, and a little behind that, just depending on your thumb or hand length. And you have it here on this side too. The texturing is everywhere. You also have it here if you want to go ahead and rock it like military style. You see it right here at the front. It's amazing. I think the texturing here is really hard to beat. Really hard to beat. The serrations, I guess you could say that's like slide texture, right? But serrations, I mean, the serrations are great. I really like them. They go all the way to the top from the back and the front, which I like. I don't like the half serrations, like how the Shield Plus or, you know, some other Smith products have them. And the Glock serrations for the Gen 5 and so on, you finally have them in the front as well. You know, Gen 4 and behind, there's literally nothing in the front. So I think that's cool. I mean, You have them in the back, so you can go ahead and rack how you like, or in the front. Really cool. So for the serrations, wrong mag. For the serrations, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a tie, and that's just because I feel like, this is just straight up. It's not really angled. These are more angled. They're deeper. I'm not gonna lie, they are deeper. So some people might like that, but at the same time, I mean, these are just straight kind of a classic serration, but they're not gonna like go ahead and give you any less performance than this would, at least in my opinion. So just off of that, I'm gonna go ahead and give the serrations a tie. I mean, they're pretty good. Now, when it comes to sights, right, we'll go ahead and touch on the sights now. Every Glock has bad sights, and everybody knows that. Everybody literally knows that. Even if you get the new, they came out like, what, 2 years ago or something like that. If you get the new 19X with the threaded barrel, you get like the optic height sights, they're still trash. They're just like blacked out. Like the sights are trash on Glocks, period. And even here, they're not like, contrary to what most people say, I don't think they're bad sights, right? Like they work really good. I can hit. I mean, I'm pretty on point. I feel like they're accurate. It's kind of the U notch, right? You got like a U in the back, and they're just, they work. You know what I mean? Unless you're like in a snowy environment, you know what I mean? It could blend in with the white, but I'm not in that situation. I'm here in South Texas, plenty of heat. Yeah, but the sights on Glocks, they're typically not the best, but they're doable and they're accurate for sure. In other words, if it's not an issue for you, then there's not really any cons right there. For the Beretta APX A1 Compact, definitely has better sights, a blacked out rear. They are serrated, right, to avoid glare, and then you have a fiber front, and that's just so it glows in the daytime. It definitely just lights up with the sun. I just think it's a better sight overall. But overall, I mean, they both work. They're both accurate. They're both really bullseye accurate. I mean, you can put these, at the same yard level, and I feel like they're both gonna hit exactly where you go ahead and put them. There's some different companies and stuff where they have just different accuracy levels, especially the more distance you get. I'm not talking about crazy distance here. I'm just talking about like 25 yards and below. The sights work, which is typically what the situation would be at anyways, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, the sights work. But Beretta, it takes the win for the sights. And then for serrations, they have a tie. Texture, Beretta definitely wins, no question about that. It literally mops the floor with that. So you could see that Beretta definitely has some points already that it's kind of adding up already. You have the texture, you have the sights. Serrations, Glock barely managed to get a tie in my book, and that's because most people would probably prefer the angled and how it's much deeper for the serrations here on the Beretta. But I'm just talking about literally me specifically, so just since it's me, they get a pass. But for most people, they probably wouldn't. This would probably be another point for most people, so just going ahead and put that out there. Branding, I feel like the Beretta probably shows more, right? You got APX right here, you got Beretta right here, APX here, Beretta logo, APX, and then on the bottom the Beretta logo. I mean, you have it literally everywhere. Here, just Glock on the side. You got Glock right here. I guess you could consider the barrel, right? Logo, it has it right there, the little Glock logo. Nothing on this side, and then you have it here on the bottom. So branding, I mean, I don't know if that's a thing for you. For me, I kind of like it. A lot of people would say it's kind of overkill, but I prefer how kind of rocks what I'm showing right here. I mean, it kind of shows what I'm rocking. Set that in reverse. My bad, guys, my bad. Just have my mind racing at 1,000 miles an hour right now. But anyways, so that's the branding, right? Oh, before I forget, the texture, this is not the stock mag release or trigger. I want to go ahead and say that. I feel like the Glock one kind of sucks. They have a better mag release right here for Beretta. Just want to go ahead and put that out. It's a little more serrated. So I think that's definitely a point. Now, when it comes to basically the finish, right? This in the bottom is probably what the rest of the Glock 19 is, but considering this is the 44, the top here is a really durable polymer, so I can't really go ahead and compare that. But what I can do is go ahead and compare this, Everybody knows though that Glock, especially on their Gen 5s, they have a really nice, I believe it's what, a DLC coating or something like that. It's a really good coat. Definitely a finish it's durable, it's corrosion resistant. But man, this one, I really like the Beretta finish right here. I feel like this one is not really gonna do anything. I don't think it's gonna rust. I don't think it's gonna go bad. I don't think throughout the years you're gonna see, you know, too much like wear and tear, things like that, like scratch marks or you name it. I mean, it kind of just looks slick. I would say it's probably at that level. So and again, this was rated to even compete in the military trials, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and tie this with the Glock, right? For the finish, the slide finish, it definitely has my props right there. I can just say really nice finish. It feels super high quality, and it's kind of crazy, especially like with the rebates you can get on it. You know, sometimes, like a lot of the times, basically some straps can be super expensive. Sometimes you can get good deals, and then sometimes you just have kind of like cheap. So sometimes it really is what you pay for, but there are times that you can get just, you know, insane deals to the point where you think like, am I being robbed here? Am I being scammed or anything? No, dude, like on the Beretta, there's some crazy rebates, and you really get like a really good package out of the box. I'm not even kidding. So for the finish, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and tie that. So again, they're either right here so far at this point in the video. We got some pros for the Beretta or some tiebreakers with the Glock, right? But we don't really have anything that the Glock is over the Beretta, right? And that's just so far. So let's go ahead and check out the rest. Let's go ahead. So I do have the large back strap here, and I don't really want to change it because again, with Beretta, it is kind of a B to change. So that's, I guess, a con I'll give it. One thing for sure that's a con that nobody can definitely question, not even disputable, is that the takedown on this thing freaking sucks. So what you have to do is there's this big button here. You have to push it with basically all your might. And then you turn this. I don't want to take it down right now because YouTube can get kind of, you know, sensitive with that. They can get, you know, a little soft. But you push that basically really hard. And then you put this down, this lever right here. And then the slide will just come off. Meanwhile here, it's the classic Glock takedown. You basically just pull these down, and then you can just take off the slide. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Whether you got gloves, whether you don't really need to even buy extended takedown levers. I think the normal stock Glock are sufficient. The SD40 ones, the stock ones that they come with the takedown levers, it's the same style, the same takedown, but it sucks. It's like super minimal. If you have gloves, you're screwed. You just won't be able to. So I had to get extended takedown levers. Well, for Glocks, you don't have to. They protrude enough to the point where you're gonna go ahead and feel that on your hand, and they have the texture too. So that is one that I'm definitely gonna give the Glock. It's the takedown method, right? Traditional takedown. Over here, you got some big button. Nobody wants to press. It's ridiculous. So that is one thing that I'm gonna go ahead and knock off the Beretta. And again, this is the compact, but it's the same thing even with their full size or with what is it, even the carry, right? The takedown just simply sucks. I don't know how to say it, you know. That's, for some that could be a big con, and others it could be, you know, something minimal. Oh yeah, anyways, like what I was getting to, right? So we're gonna go ahead and check out the back. Again, I have the large back strap, but this is more for a length comparison. So let's go ahead and get the top, match the top. So you can see here that the Beretta is a little bit longer, right? Even if you want to say like that it should be here or here, I mean, you can see that the Beretta is a little longer. And they're both a compact, so it does have the shorter slide, but check that out. But a slightly longer back right there with the back strap. And you know, that can be more for like the printing, right? Because typically this grip is going to be the part that is kind of protruding, you know, at the top of the appendix where the shirt shows. So for some people that could be important, maybe not. I mean, for some it could be like such a minimal difference because it's not like it's a different frame size, like micro compact and a compact. they're both compact here, right? But just speaking in a literal dimension sense, yeah, this one definitely is longer. So in terms of for what it is, right, a lot of people, you know, compact can be hybrid use of home defense and carry, but since carry is in that, you know, idea of what it's built for, I'm gonna go ahead and give that pro to the Glock. And again, the exact same dimensions as a Glock 19, the exact same. And that's because, again, I literally have the Glock 19 magazine in here. It does see it in here. This is the 15 round mag. Let's go ahead and take it out, right? Just so I can prove it to you. 15 rounds right there. You see it on the Beretta. 15 rounds here. The Glock mag, I'm also going to give it the pro that the back where the bullet holes are, basically the witness holes for the rounds, it does have the dub, in my opinion, the win. And why? You can literally see more rounds here and have a better accurate representation of what you got. Right here, I mean, it's cool, right, that it's even included, right? But you got 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 15. If it's anywhere between, then you just won't even see the round. You're only going to see if it hits one of those numbers. Here, you get to see it if it's on any one of these rounds. So just because of that, I mean, that has to go to Glock too. But, right, again, we're comparing stock to stock. The Glock mag's one thing that's like a huge gripe for me. One thing that I really don't, you know, I mean, come on, dude. It has to be the fact that they're polymer and plastic. Yes, they finally released the slimline Glock mags. They're metal, but nobody likes how they stick out too much. They basically defeat the whole purpose of being concealed. It's just ridiculous, to be honest. But basically, this is the standard Glock mag. You know, anywhere you go, whether it can be 40, 45, 10 mil, I mean, they're polymer. That's just what Glock is, right? Now, I'm lucky and we're blessed enough to have the fact that on the inside there is a metal insert, but still, right? Like, it's, you know, I don't like how they're plastic. So with that being said, durable metal for Beretta, it definitely takes the win for that. There's no question about that. So, and again, that's assuming this is the same capacity, right? So when it comes to the witness holes, Glock takes it, as well as as the grip length, Glock also takes that. So that's what the Glock has right now. Now for trigger, this was just the shoe that was changed. It wasn't like any you know, travel change or anything like that. So this is what we're gonna get with the Glock. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this up. There's the trigger shoe. You got to press that down. If not, it won't pop off. It is clear, by the way. Okay, creep, 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 creep. Oh, still creep. There, finally went off. Yeah, they do have a long take up with the Glocks. And then reset, reset, keep going. Keep going. There you go. So, I mean, it's not a bad trigger by any means. But I will say it's more duty oriented to just kind of, you know, take whatever you're going to take down, right? Whether that be a target, whatever. You hear what I'm trying to say, right? And then this is the Beretta trigger. And again, this one is the stock one. It's kind of similar, to be honest, but let's go ahead and show you. I feel like it does have more curvature. But again, this was not the stock Glock trigger. The stock Glocks do have a lot of curvature, but this one, it might have a little more curvature too, to be honest. But anyways, let's check it out. Same idea. You got to press down on this thing in order to pull the trigger. So take that. Okay, press, 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 press. Okay, here there's definitely a wall. Let's keep pressing slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, so just like that, you see all that creep. The Glock and the Beretta, they have that exact same thing. Okay, so we go ahead and rack it back, right, for the reset. Let's check it out. All right, taking down, release, 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 release. So honestly, I'm not gonna lie, the trigger, to me, it feels like the exact same. Not even gonna lie. Now, here's the thing though. When it comes to, this is just dry fire, right? When it comes to actually putting this in practice, I feel like this trigger is actually pretty good. Both have a lot of creep. The reset is not the worst. You know, probably give them a 6 out of 10, something like that, right? But in real practice, right, in real life, this trigger, it's not a bad trigger, guys, at all. Like by any means, I feel like it's actually a pretty solid trigger. In my opinion, and you know, just keeping it humble, and but also being straight up, this trigger, it does feel better than the Glock trigger, just in real time. And honestly though, like comparing all of them, this one does have the shadow systems trigger. I used to think it was the Timney, but it actually wasn't. It was the shadow systems. This trigger in real life is probably better than all of these three. And that's just straight up, it just feels a lot shorter. And you know, just to have the dimensions, again, this is a Glock 19 versus a Glock 19 clone, just a little upgraded. Pretty similar. Let's check out the back. Don't count the mag, of course, right? You see that. Sides, same thing, super similar, basically tomato, tomato, right? Potato, potato. So because of that, you know, like I said, I don't really just want to include this in the review. I'm just kind of giving you just a quick comparison, just so you can go ahead and see, you know, what this would be compared to a Glock 19 and the Beretta. This is so close to the Glock 19. This one's actually 4.0 barrel, not 4.02. But the .02, I mean, come on, right? Look at that. 3.7 on the right, 4.0 on the left. And the bottom. Oh, there you go. I'd say that's about even. But you see the Beretta, it's longer. So, yeah, definitely for concealability, this one is thicker. It does have a shorter slide though, so that is a pro there, but it does have a longer grip length. So it kind of depends on your body type too with that, and what you're wearing, things like that. So I mean, overall, I mean, it's pretty similar. I would say though that you know, I mean, it's really hard, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard. This is definitely with the big boys. This definitely has so much more pros than this. If you think about it, all this really had was just, you know, slightly different grip length, and then the witness holes. I mean, that's really all this thing has. Well, actually, I want to touch on another point. Since it's Glock, again, the thing is that we're comparing this out of the box, right? But when it comes to the aftermarket, I mean, of course, Glock is going to win. You can just do literally anything in the world that you want. Literally, threaded barrels, different slides, different triggers, different mags, different sights, different everything, like literally different, everything, the slide release, you could do anything in the world that you want to it. You could do it. Now when it comes to the Beretta, the aftermarket, it is kind of limited, right? You can just do the basic things. You can get like a light here, but that's not really aftermarket. Aftermarket is more like switching components. From my understanding, you could switch the sights out. I think you can get a threaded barrel for this. Actually, yes, you can, because there is an APX A1 Tactical. You can go ahead and sell the threaded barrel, but Beretta charges a crazy amount for it. Their barrels are so much more expensive than Glock barrels, like a big difference, right? We're talking hundreds, you know. Like you can, I mean, with taxes, everything combined, you're talking about just the threaded barrel from Beretta. I mean, you could be getting like near the 300 mark. I mean, that's pretty steep, considering just there's so many more options, right? So there is a few things you can do to it, but the important part to think about is when you get this, you don't need to do any of that. You could if you want to, though. That's the whole point, right? It's if you want to, totally understand that, right? But out of the box, honestly, in my opinion, this thing's already a champ. Here, this thing may not be a champ to me, even the Glock 19, but what it is sufficient. What it is enough. What it is capable. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about it. To me, this is like Glock 19 is always going to be the reliable. The reliability's there. Anything you want to do, you can do to it. I mean, you get my point, guys. I mean, this is, you know, everybody will base it around this design, the sizing, everything. Like this is what people look at for any comparison, for anything, right? Just because this is just more solidified in the industry. This is a solid, you know, this is a blueprint, basically. This is a blueprint. So with that being said, and you have to, you know, come to clear conclusions, because I'm not trying to, you know, I keep it real on the channel. I don't want to give you different opinions or, you know, wishy-washy, or, you know, kind of being a little neutral ground to please both people that own both things. No, like, let's keep it straight up, right? And we have to do that just because I don't want to give cap to you guys. If I'm being straight up, this is the better gun. It is. It simply is. And again, of course, this is assuming that we're talking about stock out of the box. If you're comparing this to the 19, it is the better gun. Honestly, I would go so far as to say is that even this compared to the new Gen 6, it's still, I mean, it's close. It is close. I mean, you would have to, I don't know, there's a good argument there. But, you know, for 5 and below, straight up, right up, you know, easily said this is better. And that's just because, again, there's so many better things. The texture, the serrations, really, I'm not going to count that, but people would say that. You know, some people would say the trigger's better. I'm one of them. There's just, I mean, it sucks and it's hard, right? Because, you know, there is a soft spot for Glock, especially because I just feel like they got ran over, you know, in recent years. You know, they definitely set the blueprint for everybody, but, you know, I gotta say straight up, guys, they got overlapped. Everybody did what they did, but better. Kind of sucks saying it, but it's true, right? Again, they're capable. They're enough. They're the blueprint. No doubt about it, right? But M&P does it better. FN, I mean, 50-50, never know. HK does it better. Beretta, in my opinion, for sure does it better. I mean, to me, the Beretta takes the win on this, guys. And, you know, for this, I mean, that's a whole different comparison. But for me, the Beretta, it has to take the win here. And the reason is just because I just feel like you get so much more out of the box. You know what I mean? There's just so much more that you get out of the box. And of course, I'm probably going to have haters. I'm probably going to have people telling me a bunch of shit in the comments. You know, telling me about, you know, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what the fanboys would say, but yeah, I totally understand it. And a little territorial too. Why? Because I love Smith & Wessons. I totally understand that. But, you know, just for this comparison, I got to keep it real with you guys. The Beretta is the better pick. And I think it's not even a subjective thing, unless that grip length and those witness holes are just so important to you and they just overwrite basically everything else I talked about in this video, then okay, right? Then that's your opinion, right? But for me, not even speaking subjectively, objectively, I think this is the better one. You even have, you know, better undercut right here. This has like basically nothing. Again, the Gen 6 and this maybe would go hand in hand and compete, and even that's a hard say. But just, you know, the way it is, what everybody else has, Gen 5 and below, Beretta takes the dub for sure. Anyways, guys, let me know what y'all thought of this comparison, of this review. I'm just, you know, keeping it straight up. Let me know if there's anything else y'all think that I could have touched on but didn't touch on. I totally understand both positions, you know what I mean? This is just what I could do for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate all the feedback that I get. My channel's still not too big at all by any means. I'm still trying to hit at least 1,000 subscribers. I only got like, what, 350? Who knows? Something like that. So I'm trying to really rack up my subscribers. So if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, you know, I'd appreciate that. Anyways, guys, Shots with Jay. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Let me know what's up. Out.